Darin van Tassell hanging out with us from South Georgia, Tormenta. And so I know that we've been discussing things from the absolute beginning about the growth of the franchise. And this week, it's another one of those fantastic steps. And by the way, the photos that have been released with the now, was the Tormenta magenta in the sunset? Was that planned as a part of the photos?
We have heavily connections here, John. Absolutely. They were alive and well. The sunset was our storm before the storm. No doubt about it.
So, when you look at everything and, as you and I are talking about the USL League One, and I know that we'll be getting into that over the next, half hour here. When you look at how USL League One has been growing, how you look at how South Georgia Tormenta has been growing over since day one, since, we've been looking with each other. We've been taking the same walk for 6 years. When you look at this now, where Tormenta Stadium is, you're pulling back the curtain, folks are coming in. This is that next stage of the development. You got folks on your real estate. It's your turf, and it's a part of this. I mean, have you had time to sit there and go, man, we've really done a lot in a very short period of time?
We sat with the front office, the players, and the coaches after the game. We had a little scrimmage on Wednesday, is what you're alluding to, and the listeners may not fully appreciate all that. And we sat afterwards, and it was this massive piece of exhaustion, I think, just came out from each of us. It's a spot. I think as much as anything, we built it's the only professional stadium, I think, south of Atlanta. If I can push that, at least in our state. It's certainly the only one in South Georgia where a pro sports team now has its own home.
Right.
That alone is a statement. We clearly are pleased about that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch this thing open up in various phases, and clearly we can get amazing sunsets here. And it's just surrounded by a lot of the trappings that you love to see. The lights, the light poles, the light shows, the digital boards, all the readers, great sound system. And some people open up with games. They do a preseason and kind of walk into it. We're opening up playing the flips at the top of the table in a chase. So it's gonna be pretty epic this weekend.
I mean, you look at everything, and I know that obviously battling COVID-19, pushed things in, adjusted your timelines and things like that. But it has been cool for those of us who have driven past and have taken the left-hand turn to come off of I-16 and see what's been going on. Do you have pinch yourself moments still when you get to this stage when it comes to everything that's going on?
A lot of that's happening today, since we're all sort of battling, barricading with a hurricane, and looks like we're going to get very little of it here. And unfortunately, our friends in Charleston, Wilmington look like they might take the brunt of it. But so we've been kind of in a pause day already. It seems like one of those days off from school.
Yeah.
And so we're really catching up on some things today. But that reflection really is kicking in. It's definitely kicking in today. Yeah, we're pinching ourselves. And I don't think any good entrepreneur rests very long. And so we're trying to always, think about, all right, what did I miss? What I got to keep going and all of that. But what a fun thing to be able to control our own facility. And, you can't take that part for granted when you're running a pro team.
When you look at USL League One and how it has grown alongside you in this entire process, what are some of your takeaways on the league itself and your place in it as this very special market, the smallest market that has a professional sports franchise, and you're doing all of these things? What's it been like to see that as a part of the growth of the league?
Yeah, everybody's so good in this league. Oh my gosh, the level of play is, I think, 10 times higher than any of us guessed. We probably had some aspirations about this. Everybody is just good on the field. And then what we're all also working on is making sure we have the facilities that match our level of play. And we've had a great pitch to play in, great partners at the university with where Georgia Southern is. Time to get our own. And now we're here. It's a nice moment when we're done. We will have as good as a facility around. We're not going to be as big as the Benz and doing all those things. But from a pitch standpoint, and just from all the amenities that come with pro soccer, it's going to be great. Hey, listen, the other night, the second half of our scrimmage, we just scrimmaged our academy, and our academy guys were together. They were linked. They played fantastic. I don't think there was a fan in watching us who were like, wow, there's our future pros right there. And, it takes so long to get that piece right on the personnel side and have an academy that can constantly be replacing. I think that was one of the great takeaways, in addition to how big and nice the temporary locker rooms are and the light show, much less how good the pitch is.
Well, and question from Jason Nixon, the Twitch pitch. What's capacity right now in its current iteration?
We're right about 3,000, a little more. We could probably do about 3,600 standing room and a couple spots where we can put folks. It's big. By the time we're done, it'll be at 5,300. And again, watch it growing in those phases are going to be nice. Not a bad seat in the house, but most great venues and smaller venues can certainly say so.
When you mentioned the growth of Tormenta, I mean, you mentioned the academy element of it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got USLW, where you've got your first star on a crest. I mean, you got your first star on a jersey.
It gives me cold chills just you saying that out loud. Keep going.
Well, I mean, but you look at the growth of USLA, USLW. You get your first championship in a packed environment in Minnesota, going up against one of the top teams in the league in Minnesota, Aurora. And we've always kind of had the mantra here in this part of the country that the South's got something to say. Well, Tormenta is the personification of that, I think, from everything that you and the boss, Mitra, have been able to build since day one. You've had this vision, you've had this idea, and in each individual stage, whether it's W, whether it's A, whether it's League One, League Two, it's this big push from a bunch of different channels about making something that's three-dimensional. It wasn't just route one with one thing. It's been a three-dimensional approach, looking at the larger picture for growth, though.
It's always fun for me to be reminded of just how much you followed the club and from the journalist side. I think that the public interacts with us because of facilities and wins and losses and teams. We've been very patient with growing a culture here. Nature and I have, and everybody connected to us, and there's no CEO around who doesn't hope that their culture can sustain all of those things that you're talking about, and that the culture of the climate of the club can do all of that. It was the single most critical thing for us for anything else to happen. On the days where we don't have the culture right, it hurts, and there's some days that happens, and you have to respond to it in the way that fixes it. But there are many of those days, I'm happy to say, on the culture side. And then that bleeds into championships and wins. And in our case, it's now seeing those facilities come together. For those that aren't sort of fully aware of where we are, that it's part of a larger development process where it's the commercial side and residential side and the growth of the university are all surrounding where our stadium build is. So there are lots of eyes on it because we delayed the game one day to Sunday, where the first team was going to now play Richmond on the Sunday evening instead of Saturday as scheduled because of the hurricane. I think we're going to have a lot more eyes on us, certainly television wise. I think there's a lot more people going to turn in and watching that, and probably even more locally who are going to they're very interested in what we're doing. And you turn the lights on and that happens. And by the way, I don't know what marketing genius took a team whose nickname is essentially Storm in English and created a hurricane named after our head coach. But
exactly,
that's some good stuff. You can't pull this off, and hearts go out to where hurricaning has really left some devastating blows, but you just can't market and write this script much better.
Owner and president of South Georgia Tormenta, Darin van Tassell, hanging out with us here on Soccer Down here on a Freestyle Friday. And big moment. The first stages and Tormenta Stadium is going to be right there for folks starting Sunday. Obviously, weather pushes it back from the normal massive Saturday that you have in USL League One across the board, pushing it to Sunday. So just reminder, Sunday for Statesboro and the unveiling of Tormenta Stadium. For those who got tickets and are getting to wander in, and for those that are going to be looking at the game on the 15th as their opportunity to come in for the regular season finale, what can folks expect when they wander in and are going to be a part of this experience in its first stages and the unveiling? What can folks expect to see?
Well, we've got a couple bands who start playing at 5:30 for our 7:30 kick, and they're going to keep going until it's time for them to sing the national anthem. So there's going to be some fun pieces about all of that. Listen, we're parking all over the place, so expect to walk down a sidewalk. You will be walking down a sidewalk, but we'll be kind of all over the place getting folks in, parking up and down Tormenta Way and at the clubhouse, which is nearby. And the overflow is the university's campus, which is just how close we are to get you through the sidewalks and crosswalks there. There's a lot of lights that come on. There's a lot of digital boards if you like that kind of stuff. The other night I had sort of underplayed the value of the sunset. And from all indications, the weather's going to give us another amazing sunset filled with lots of Tormenta magenta hues. But, once we start going, it's really going to be about we've got to win. We've got to get some points. We're coming down the stretch, and we have not taken our minds off of that. I think we have a chance to clinch a playoff spot with 3 points this weekend, but quite frankly, our eyes are more at the top of the table than those that are chasing us.
And the way that things are. For those that don't know, USL League One is probably the personification of consistent crazy when it comes to soccer here in the United States, because if you have, and like like Northern Colorado, where they've had a lot of midweek weekend just to play catch up because of weather, you have a good week, you have a 6-point week, you can rocket from below the playoff line to above the playoff line in a hurry. And right now you've got a group that is, and I'm trying to do math here on a Friday morning, which is,
well, while you're doing the math, there's no teams that have been eliminated yet. There's only 3 games left. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, you're looking at 7 points, just as an example, 5 points separating 6 teams, 2 through 7, of which you're right in the middle of that. And then 7 points separating 8 teams from 2 through 8. Right now, South Georgia Tormenta with a handful of matches to go. You are a point out of second, 11 wins. And so you're a part of this madness right now from 2 through the playoff bar, because say somebody behind you wins, like Chattanooga, they get to 40 points. That's their 11th win and their 28th match. It is crazy. And what we like to do every week is kind of do like review preview stuff here at SDH. But League One, how do you keep your wits about you as an owner and a president, knowing that it is at 78 RPMs as a league, and I just dated myself with that reference, every single week of the season? It is nuts, and I think that it's underrated in its nutsness.
I'm honest, other than like other people that claim they don't check the table. I check it about 6 times a day just to see if it's moved. We're pretty lucky. We get to play Richmond this weekend, so we can grab 3 points from them. We're really close, and then we get to play Omaha, and then we get to play Chattanooga. So everybody is right there for us. Because our game's on Sunday, everybody else will have played, so it's going to be even more in the limelight. But if fans like playoff races and playoff hunts, they're welcome, because this league gives it to you each year.
When you look at things. Now, let me ask you this. When it comes to the light show, is there actually a Tormenta filter where it's the Tormenta magenta filter that's a part of the lights that go around?
Absolutely, and stay tuned.
I had to ask the light specific stuff going with the Tormenta colors. I mean, it is just,
even the poles are Tormenta, by the way.
Okay,
all right. Light poles are uplit and everything, and at nighttime, when we keep them on, they stay. They stay. You can make them any color. We prefer Tormenta magenta.
Okay, and understood. When you look at all of this and you look at the development and the growth of the league, the development and the growth of what you're seeing there at Tormenta, the growth and development of all of the partners in the league, where Greenville is trying to find their own facility and do what you're doing there. Chattanooga is doing the same thing
Yeah.
that you're doing up at CHI Memorial. You're really trying to create legacy properties and legacy ideas. It's not just playing as a franchise and we're here, we're doing our thing. I mean, Richmond renovated City Stadium and they've got their traditional 6:30 kick. There's always that one element that seems to be attached to teams in USL League One where they want to be legacy partners in their communities and in the leagues themselves.
I don't think it works any other way. I hope, I mean, not to overstate it, but I hope our stadium becomes as well known to people locally as City Hall does, as any other place of establishment you have to build. We're building an institution, and we've got to think of it that way. Otherwise, it doesn't work in our communities. You mentioned a whole bunch of stadiums that I love to go to. Greenville's got some fun plans. I really like what Chattanooga's putting together, and they've been building it out in phases. But two of my favorite places to go are also the oldest stadiums in the league, in Madison, which was built in the 20s and renovated in the 40s. And at Richmond, you're right about City Stadium. They've done a great job. It's a great place to go and play. So when our communities have their flavors and when they have their identities, we know we're growing something and not just playing matches and keeping scores.
How much pressure, I guess, do you put on yourself as a community steward to make sure that you and the Tormenta organization get it right down there in South Georgia?
All of it. I think that's it keeps me up at night. You've got to get that part right. I think that's the driving piece behind it. Clearly, you have the individuals who work for us, and we have those responsibilities for. But when you claim you're doing something for the community, you better be good at it. And when you're really good at it, everybody will support you. And if you sort of misstep along the way, that pressure, which, if you're really good at this, you think pressure is a privilege to be able to get, but you got to get it right. You have to get it right.
What's it like? And I'm gonna just say that Pinto Ree is in on the Twitch pitch this morning.
Okay.
And the question is, what does it mean for Tormenta to play their 100th match in League One at Tormenta Stadium?
Wow, I love that. I didn't even know it was our 100th match. Well done.
There's math involved on this show. I didn't even do it.
That is fantastic. Well, it just got even more special. I get so consumed with each game. Sometimes it's hard to look past the next one and realize we're on a plane to get to Omaha in about 5 days, just for the one after that. What a cool thing. 100. Well, we better win it. We can't screw this thing up.
I mean, you're a Centurion now in USL League One, and you get to have that moment. So I guess, are you going to have like special C's put on the the 100 and the Roman numeral? You're going to put C's where we have the captain C like on hockey sweaters. Now you're going to have like a Centurion C on the back, like in Roman numerals kind of stuff.
Well, if we don't, we'll be behind, won't we?
just keep adding eyes for your subsequent matches at home.
Right.
On the 15th.
Well, it's really cool that you pointed it all out, and that's great. And
that's the Twitch pitch doing it for me. I'm just sitting here looking at the Q&A conversation, man.
Our fans are on it.
Yeah,
and everybody.
Yeah, definitely. EP is on it, definitely doing the math this morning. I will grant you that.
Listen, we can't wait to play. Sometimes we can overanalyze and over-intellectualize everything. It can just be fun. And for it to be fun, it has to be sustainable, and hence the need for stadiums and infrastructure and all of that. And when you get those pieces down and you get them linked, then you really get to enjoy the crazy part that comes with trying to win. We are going to have our hands full on Saturday in that 100th match and the first match ever. Rob Ukrop and the folks at Richmond are what great league partners for us to have for this first match. But make no mistake about it, their greatest joy will be to come in here and to beat us, and our greatest joy will be to smash them and to send them back. So You know, 3 points, we're all feeling great. You drop points, and then you ask questions, and how we answer them. But today, on the Friday before the weekend, we're all about the excitement and what the fan experience is going to be like. Just talking to the players and the coaches, I was probably understating just how big of a deal it was for them to have that experience the other night too.
And the fact that you're creating this legacy property and the legacy idea. I mean, it's once again, you had with USLW, you had players from Effingham County that were a part of this. You've got the Bullock, you've got Savannah, you've got Vidalia. You're getting all of this reach and interest there in the footprint to prove and to remind everyone that the game is universal and it doesn't matter. What's the phrase? It's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Listen, one of my great quotes, I probably shared it with you before, Jeff, comes from that great philosopher in Disney's films Ratatouille.
Mm-hmm.
Says great chefs can come from anywhere, which is just code for greatness can come from anywhere. Great soccer players can come from anywhere. Why not from Bullock County? Why not from Tatnall? Why not from Chatham? There's nothing magical about where lots and lots of people congregate all the time. It's just more people. And so we're going to keep finding where those great folks are. We had trialists here on Wednesday playing with us that, flew in from Europe just to be with us for a week so that we could watch them. That's when, folks are paying attention.
I assume that you have something on your cell phone akin to an international data plan that has unlimited minutes to where, you're not having to pay like $9 gazillion a month for your cell phone bill.
I pay it all right here, and it's a flat charge. It's easier to budget that way.
Because once again, you're bringing guys like Keziah Sterling who have ties to the Spurs program and things like that. For you, what's it like to be dealing with something on an international scale from Statesboro, Georgia? You look at your phone sometimes, you'll sit there and you're probably looking and you're going, okay, that's a 0 and a country code I don't know. And what's it like to have to deal with things internationally from Statesboro, Georgia? And what's the initial response from the other side?
We worked really hard for folks to be able to call us, so that part is quite complimentary. Scope's starting to change a bit. I think a lot of Europe and elsewhere, but especially Europe, has seen that the American soccer landscape is real. It's different than it was 15 years ago, much less 5. And certainly those folks are paying attention, and it's a viable path to lots of places. And because of that, because there's so many good players around the world, clearly Tormenta looks appealing to them. Keziah's success with us this year is certainly getting lots of attention being paid to it, and as a result, it's paying rewards of people that want to come and show us what here we have a luxury of having a line to choose from these days. Still got to keep winning. That's also critical.
When it comes to the next things to check off the to-do list, as you and I are looking at each other in our studio setups here, I know that probably somewhere either off to your left or your right or on that phone that's got the international minutes is the continual to-do list, because Sunday is great for you and Nitra and everyone that's attached to this franchise, but you all know that there's more work to do. It's like the lead up and everything. Today is, like you said, that day where you get released early from school and you can kind of just hang out for a little bit and enjoy things. And Saturday, you're kind of ramping up to Sunday, but you're still in a season. You're still in a chase. You're still trying to get postseason berths in a crazy league, and you're still trying to build that next idea and continue building a stadium and a facility and a footprint. There is no rest for you. So what is next while you're trying to juggle all of these chainsaws?
Yeah, and we're still reloading for next year and the year after that, because you have to do all of that at once. Listen, there's a lot of more amenities to the stadium to add. There's our residential portion and the condos, the 4 stories that they'll build. There's the craft brewery and music venue. That's another 4 stories that sits right next to that in the corner. And then there's our suites and even and more retail to come. So the place is going to be built out. It's our own little Battery Atlanta here in Statesboro. That'll, that part has to get going. We had to really push it so we can get these games in this season, and then we'll start picking up a bit more with that as we go. Tormenta Stadium, until it's named something else, is going to constantly evolve for a bit, and so everybody stay tuned.
Edwin Pintor back in on the Twitch pitch. He says, per the trialist, when I picked them up from the airport last Saturday, quote, Tormenta is a place that helps you grow and makes you fall back in love with the game. You can go straight to MLS or come here and adapt to the game in America, end quote. Hashtag pros are here.
Well done, Edwin, and Edwin's top shelf. We're lucky to have Edwin here, much less people like Keziah. We know when you hear that straight from players, you don't have to say it as owners, because the players are saying it, and they're putting their money where their hopes and aspirations are, and flying long distances to give us a chance to do it. And our technical staff with Ian Cameron and his crew just really believes in the same kinds of things that we all do. Let's give people a look. Let's see what we learn from somebody in person.
All right, break down the weekend one more time. For those that don't have tickets, they can, I guess, kind of hang out on the I have this vision of folks literally parking on the street above the stadium, tailgating and looking over the temporary press box onto the field. I have this vibe already in my head for Sunday of how this is going to look. It's going to be an event, so break down the event.
Well, I like that start. I'm sure people are going to figure out where their tailgating is going to happen, because they're going to create. Fans have got to create their own new traditions when you get a new venue, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, Edwin and I will be there at 8 a.m. on because we can't do some of the stuff we would do because we got to let Hurricane Ian get by. It's the rain isn't hitting us, but it's blowing very hard outside. Thankfully, it's just that, and it's not wind we can't handle.
Early test for your drainage system.
Yes, that's the one piece that'll be nice to see. It can handle Hurricane Ian. I have no worries about that. It could take 10, 12 inches and we'd be ready to go in just a few minutes.
All right.
Listen, it's going to be great fun. I'm sort of curious, to be quite frank, John. I'm curious to see how all the fans enjoy themselves. I hope they'll get there early and listen to the bands we have for them and watch us warm up and watch the sunset, and it'll be time to rock and roll.
All right. Well, full disclosure, I figure I'll go ahead and let you know now. It is my plan to come down for the regular season finale on the 15th.
Great. What an event that's going to be. We're going to have Chattanooga in town, and both of us are going to be desperate for getting some wins there. Can't wait to host you, John.
All right. Well, looking forward to Darin van Tassell, co-owner and president, South Georgia Tormenta. Say hi to everybody down there. Looking forward to seeing everything roll out on Sunday. Remember, it is pushed back a day because of Hurricane Ian down there in Statesboro. Massive event for not just the franchise, but for the region and for the sport. Darin, thanks for hanging out with us here at SDH. We'll be keeping an eye. Good luck this weekend. Stay safe, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, John. Your fans are going to be pumped. I got to let them know now you're going to be here.
We'll keep an eye on it. Thanks again, D.
All right, be well. Cheers.